Testing. We are on. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the November 14th, 2022 meeting of the Albany County Legislature. My name is Andrew Joyce, and I serve as chairman of the Albany County Legislature. Our rules allow for a period of public comment before our meetings. Our rules prohibit members of the legislature from questioning the public and the public from questioning the members. Speakers are allowed 3 minutes each. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Beston. Brewski. Bergdorf. Here. Chapman. Here. Clay. Here. Clary. Here. Collins. Camiso. Here. Cunningham. Here. Demolowitz. Here. Drake. Here. Efacoro. Present. Ethier. Here. Feeney. Here. Fine. Here. Grimm. Here. Andrew Joyce.
Here.
Ray Joyce. Here. Coon.
Here.
Lakakis.
Yep.
Lockhart.
Here.
Murriello.
Here.
Mayo.
Here.
McLaughlin.
Here.
McLean Lane. Miller.
Present.
O'Brien.
Here.
Purley.
Here.
Peter.
Here.
Plosky.
Here.
Reedy.
Here.
Reinhardt.
Here.
Ricard.
Present, Madam Clerk.
Simpson. Smith.
Here.
Tunney.
Here.
Ward.
Here.
Whalen.
Here.
Willingham.
Here.
I have 34 present.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Just as a reminder for everyone, please silence your devices. Speakers will be allowed 3 minutes each. Madam Clerk, please identify the first speaker.
Carol Waterman.
Almost didn't make it tonight, got lost. Okay. All right. So, wait a minute. Loosen this. Okay. $4.5 million. That's what we're getting from the Master Tobacco Settlement money. And for that settlement to have happened 25 years ago, millions of people had died. Now, like many women I know, and in all likelihood some of the women here, I'm a breast cancer survivor. And I, of course, am grateful that I had the money to pay for my care, and very grateful for the outstanding surgeon. 7 years now. Now, for those of you who are survivors or sufferers and who know and love people who are, would you prefer that breast cancer money was spent on treatment after you have breast cancer, and let me assure you the treatment is not fun, or would you prefer that it were spent on prevention? For me, the answer is prevention. Now, you have many resolutions in front of you that you're going to be voting on later. And many of them are amendments to the budget. And many of those amendments mention prevention, which is, of course, why I'm here today. As you know, our share, our huge share of the tobacco settlement money has gone to Medicaid. And Medicaid is wonderful.
1 minute.
Well, okay. Well, Medicaid treats people after they're sick or dying, and it's very costly treatment. Prevention is far less expensive. Now, I want people not to start smoking or vaping, so I want us to allocate some of the tobacco settlement money to prevention, which is not only the moral thing to do, it's the fiscally
30 seconds.
responsible thing to do. Now, whatever is taken from Medicaid to do that, we should get the funds from elsewhere. And you're all very creative people, and I'm sure you could find them. What I found is there's a rainy day fund, there's a federal rescue plan from which we are getting $59 million, and there are other things, and you'll find them as easily as I did.
That's time, Carol.
Okay. Okay. I just want to say in closing, the anti-tobacco movement, which is now 50 years old, okay, has always been bipartisan. So let's all work together to save money and lives. Thank you very much.
Suzette Pleat.
Good evening. My name is Suzette Pleat. I've been employed by Albany County Department for Children, Youth, and Families for the past 15 years. For the past 4 of those, I've been a supervisor in an intake unit overseeing caseworkers conducting child welfare investigations. Our child welfare caseworkers are tasked with investigating hotlines 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. We are responsible for ensuring that every child listed on a hotline report is safe and appropriate services are provided to those families. For the majority of cases, this means we knock on a family's door, we introduce ourselves, we ask to enter their homes. We interview everyone residing in the home and make assessments as to the safety of the children and the need for services. We do this with only a pen and a notebook in our hands. As you are aware, the increased violence in our neighborhood has had a direct impact on the families we serve, as well as our child welfare staff. Our caseworkers have been assaulted, we've been threatened, and as a result, we're traumatized. Yet, we still show up at work the next day because we are dedicated to the work we do. So far this year, we have received approximately 3,100 new hotline reports, and an additional 2,000 reports were made on families we already serve, totaling over 5,000 reports. Currently, we have 20 fully trained intake caseworkers actively investigating these cases, with an average of 33 reports per worker. If we use an average of 3 children per household, a caseload of 33 means that each worker is responsible for 100 children at any given time. Our foster care caseworkers are carrying an average of 16, in addition to investigating approximately 6 hotline reports at any given time. With these numbers in mind, it should be very concerning that DCYF is losing staff at an astonishing rate. We currently have 25 caseworker vacancies in our department. We are struggling with retaining senior staff. In the past year alone, we have lost 3 supervisors as well as many seasoned staff. Rensselaer and Schenectady counties start their caseworker salaries at above $55,000. Both Rensselaer and Schenectady County are significantly smaller than us. Many of our staff have left to go to the state, which has a starting salary of approximately $61,000 a year, a grade 18, which our caseworkers meet the qualifications for. The starting salary for a caseworker in Albany County is $48,800, over $6,000 less than those 2 counties, and even more for those going to the state. It's worth mentioning that in the 2022 budget, DCYF's upper management increased their salaries to stay competitive with the upper management in surrounding counties. Yet DCYF's frontline worker salaries have remained untouched. I would also like to point out that the state and federal government reimburse caseworker pay at a rate of 91%. We recognize that increasing the base pay for child welfare staff will not solve all of the problems facing our department. However, we feel that it will go a long way in helping us to attract and to retain our existing staff. In closing, we respectfully ask that you vote no on the proposed DCYF budget for 2023 and ask Commissioner Manning to come back with a budget that better addresses the issues facing our department. Thank you for your consideration in this matter and for your time this evening.
Laura Ordway.
Hello, my name is Dr. Laura Ordway. Thank you for having me. For some background on myself, I'm a pharmacist who has done work with both chain and independent pharmacies and has worked with medically underserved members of Albany's South End community since around 2017. I was the clinical pharmacist at Whitney Young Health and worked closely with social and community health workers as the public health pharmacist at the Collaboratory out of offices on both Morton and Green Street. And while I'm here, I should mention that although I am currently employed as a consultant for the New York State Department of Health, I am here independently, and my input does not reflect the views of the New York State Department of Health. In my work with some of the most challenging patients in the Capital Region, I work closely with Lincoln Pharmacy. Lincoln Pharmacy was the first in the area to invest heavily in what is really costly technology for the purpose of assisting patients with medication adherence. Many patients are referred to Lincoln because of their use of multi-dose packaging that assists patients at administering caregivers. 4 years ago, the Collaboratory, which was my public health site, sought partners to assist in the deployment of automatic pill dispensers to patients who had been cognitively impacted by their disease state and were unable to live independently because of the health risks posed by misdoses of medication. Lincoln Pharmacy took it upon themselves to establish a workflow within their pharmacy to allow them to fill and deliver these machines to homes and shelters in the area, in areas that, quite frankly, not many would travel to, without any cost to the patient or facilitating organizations. So I'm here to talk about adherence. And when we talk about adherence, there are many different ways of measuring it. Like most things involving data and statistics, we know that the parameters utilized have the potential to shape the results. And to compare 2 pharmacies, you really need to understand what you're looking at. For instance, one pharmacy may report adherence as measured over the span of 1 year. And you would not want to directly compare that to a pharmacy who reports adherence as measured over a particularly successful 30 days. There are multiple standards for calculating adherence, and even those are not always calculated using the same formula between 2 businesses.
1 minute.
I've worked with Lincoln Pharmacy on adherence-focused projects other than the automated dispensing medication dispensers, including an initiative focused on behavioral health medication by several pharmacies located within New York State. I've seen their adherence data thanks to third-party analysis and have been able to compare their results to other pharmacies within New York State using the exact same parameters, and their results are impressive. On this particular project, Lincoln Pharmacy achieved an 87% of medication days covered,
30 seconds.
which is using the more conservative measure. Lincoln Pharmacy has done a great deal of good work for the people of this community in the spirit of service. And based on the measures that I've seen, the results and the resulting benefits of this have been undeniable.
Thank you.
Paul.
Good evening. My name is Paul Pagnotta. I'm a pharmacist. I am the operations manager for College Parkside Pharmacy located in downtown Albany. I'm also a previous independent pharmacy owner in Albany County. I'm here this evening to express my concern with the relationship between Albany County Department of Mental Health and Genoa Health. Genoa Health is owned and operated by Optum Rx, the third largest pharmacy benefits manager in the country, also known as a PBM. Optum is owned by United Healthcare, the largest healthcare insurance company in the country. These large corporations, through network restrictions or formulary restrictions, often steer their most profitable portions of pharmacy business to their own subsidiaries like Genoa Health. They are the insurer, the benefit manager, and the provider, with no transparency to the rest of the industry. This corporation has the right to have a pharmacy at any location they feel appropriate. However, creating any relationship with the county at a large corporate entity that could potentially remove patient choice of where they receive their medications is corporate capitalism at its worst. Patient choice is one of the cornerstones of our healthcare system. When choice is removed, patient care is compromised. The county has an obligation to maintain transparency and freedom of choice to their residents. This will preserve the highest quality healthcare, will continue to support small businesses like College Parkside Pharmacy and Lincoln Pharmacy, who has been a part of the Albany landscape for 87 years. Thank you.
Mohammed Azad.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Mohammed Azad. I'm with the Lincoln Pharmacy. I've been working with full-time with New York State Information Technology Services for past 15 years as a management capacity. I'm very familiar with the state government procurement and RFP process, and attended many hours of public officers' ethics and integrity training. I'm here to voice my opposition to Resolution 373, lease extension to Genoa Pharmacy, that is currently operating DMH building at South Pearl State Clinic. Lincoln has been severely impacted by the Genoa Pharmacy. In response to our concern, during the health committee meeting, county employees said it's not a county job to make a business to succeed. I agree 100% with him. Why is there a double standard here? Consider what county has done for Genoa. There is a TV at DMH clinic lobby runs a Genoa commercial nonstop. The county website still has the Genoa advertisement in 2 places. About 800 DMH patients received a letter signed by DMH commissioner and medical director on county letterhead promoting Genoa Pharmacy. This letter was mailed in hand-addressed envelope bearing Genoa logo. Who addressed those envelopes? If DMH employee hand-addressed those 800 envelopes to promote a Genoa Pharmacy, then that is unethical and illegal to use the county resources to promote a private business. If DMH handed over to the patient list and allowed Genoa staff to address this envelope, that is illegal in violation of HIPAA and patient privacy laws. To investigate this and other concerns, a month ago, our pharmacist, Dr. Jalal, filed a complaint with County Ethics Commission, but we are waiting to hear on the outcome. There are multiple red flags with the original RFP here. RFP is a single bidder RFC. Based on my experience, single bidder RFC never give any benefit to the agency who is seeking for a service. If this particular RFP is only Genoa is bid for this RFP, you can clearly see this RFP Genoa made county to add 2 years non-compete clause for their advantage. If you don't receive enough number of responses for your proposal, you can always go back and rebid and call other potential pharmacy that can offer the similar services. In this case, we are serving Department of Mental Health patients for past 30 years. Our driver goes there for every day to deliver the medications. We never get a call or any notification from County Purchase and Procurement Department. There are a lot of conflict of interest between Genoa and former DMH Deputy Director who was spearheading this RFP
30
process.
seconds.
A particular prescription, steering prescription to Genoa. I'm not here to just talk about only the problems. We here to offer a solution. we are all worried about the patient who's currently using Genoa. We have the solution for this problem. If county is willing to work with Lincoln, we will ensure the 120 patients who are currently on Genoa will be seamlessly moved over to the Lincoln, and Lincoln can provide the same day or 30 minutes delivery to DMH clinic. We are located 0.8 miles away from the DMH clinic. How can we do this? There's a procurement policy.
That's time.
Section 505 allows the county to make emergency purchases under General Municipal Law, Section 103 of 4. You can make an emergency purchase until you find the suitable contractor.
Sir, that's time. If you want to make a closing statement?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. County procurement policy say you can use the county emergency procurement policy to fill the stop gap. We are more willing to work with the county and give the care to the patient. Thank you.
Serena Jalal.
Good evening. I'm Dr. Jalal with Lincoln Pharmacy. I've spoken to many of you regarding Resolution 373, and I want to thank you all for giving this issue the attention it deserves. I have just a few comments on the subject that I hope will help you confirm that Genoa Pharmacy is not a good partner for Albany County. First, I trust that Dr. Ordway's insight has helped you realize that the compliance data may have been misrepresented. People may contend that based on this misrepresented data, if you deny this lease opportunity, you are causing patient harm. But Lincoln Pharmacy's adherence rate for the patients of the Department of Mental Health exceeds 90%. We have a relationship with these providers, and we know how to serve these patients. Impacted patients, if you close this pharmacy, impacted patients will have the option of selecting a pharmacy that is even better than the one they are using. Second, I hope you have noticed Section 2.1 of the Professional Services Agreement that requires the Department of Mental Health to take the position that Genoa offers a superior level of care. You have heard from Mr. Pagnotta, who oversees 2 clinic-based pharmacies. Does it surprise you that neither of those contracts have a similar clause? That's because good pharmacies earn business by providing excellent care. They don't dictate how a prescriber should think or where they should send their patients. Thirdly, I hope you will consider that by keeping Genoa in-house, you are risking the health and welfare of the community at large. The reality is that in pharmacies serving low-income neighborhoods, nearly 60% of the prescriptions are filled at a loss. Given such a bleak landscape, why do you think Genoa picked the south end of Albany as a viable location for a pharmacy? It's because behavioral health prescriptions are unicorns. They actually make money. And filling large volume of these prescriptions, if a pharmacy does that, they don't see nearly the same kind of loss. Genoa, as Paul mentioned, is owned by United Healthcare. They're a $400 billion company. They don't care about this community. They have a fiduciary responsibility to their shareholders. The fact is that all of the pharmacies in our community need to fill behavioral health prescriptions. And it's not just Lincoln Pharmacy that's impacted here. The Walgreens on North Pearl Street closed just weeks after Genoa opened. It could have been a coincidence, but more than likely, Walgreens recognized the emerging threat that Genoa posed and decided to close that location. Are you okay denying pharmacy access to the community at large just to benefit the few that use Genoa? 2 weeks ago,
30
at the
seconds.
October Health Committee meeting, someone said that the concerns I have raised are just frustrating coincidences, and it wasn't the county's responsibility to make Lincoln succeed. You know, my family doesn't come from limitless wealth. This community has raised us up, and we feel a certain amount of pride and to be able to give back and serve this community. And we have done so successfully for the past 35 years. We don't need help making our business succeed. We need a level playing field. You have 2 options tonight. You can say enough is enough and deny this extension, which I hope you will do, or you can say yes. If you choose the latter, then I wonder, how many coincidences are you willing to sweep under the rug before it becomes undeniable that Genoa does this community more harm than good? Thank you.
Aaron Gorman. Corman.
Good evening. My name is Aaron Corman. My grandfather established Lincoln Pharmacy in 1935 at the tail end of the Great Depression, 2 years before my father was born. Zarina Jalal, the owner of and one of the pharmacists of Lincoln Pharmacy, has asked me to be here to share with you some thoughts on the importance that this family-owned pharmacy has meant to this community over the years. My poppy, Eugene Yale Corman, opened Lincoln Pharmacy at the same location where it still operates nearly 90 years later at the corner of Delaware and Martin Avenues. It is here that folks from several neighborhoods have depended upon the service to the community from Lincoln Pharmacy staff all these years. Following in my grandfather's footsteps, my father, Selig Corman, also attended the nearby Albany College of Pharmacy. And my dad operated Lincoln Pharmacy until the late 80s when he decided it was time to sell the store, since I had not chosen pharmacy as a career and it was also becoming more difficult to sustain profitability. I think it's important to keep in mind that there was a time when there were family-owned pharmacies throughout Albany, just about on every block. So when you think about Lincoln Pharmacy, you should bear in mind that it's just about the only family-owned pharmacy still left to provide quality, personalized service to members of this largely low to moderate income community. As such, we should honor their service to community, the very words that are engraved as my father's epitaph. Because not only did my dad serve this community through his work as a pharmacist, but he also served for more than 4 decades on the board of the Trinity Alliance. Now, it's also important to know more about the history of this important community institution. When my father decided to sell the pharmacy, he had offers from national chains, but he was determined not to sell to one of them. He wanted the store to remain in local hands. And he was fortunate to find someone who was as committed to serving the community as my dad and his father had been for more than half a century.
1 minute.
Dean Jalal, an immigrant from India with a warm smile and a big heart, was that man. And when Dean's daughter Zarina graduated from ACPHS, she joined the Lincoln Pharmacy staff, ultimately taking over the management of the institution. I'll skip a paragraph because I don't have time. The question for all of you is, do you value the service to community that Lincoln Pharmacy provides? If so, please also consider providing more balance and equity to such institutions when they come to you seeking some form of assistance, remediation, or opportunity to more fully participate in providing health care to the local community. It is in all of our best interests to work with local business owners to ensure that locally owned and operated businesses continue to thrive and to be an important part of the commercial makeup of our community. Thank you.
Chairman, there are no more speakers.
Is there anyone else in the meeting who would like to make a public comment? Once again, I want to thank all the members of DCYF for coming tonight. It's good to see you all. Thank you. Have a happy Thanksgiving. If there's nobody else in chambers who wishes to speak, the public forum is now closed. Give these folks a few moments to be on their way. Thanks again, everyone.
Are you okay?
Purchasing, there a green light bulb? Good evening, everyone. I'd like to get started. Before we call our meeting to order, our majority leader, Dennis Feeney, in 2020 had the very good sense to hire Rebecca Kennedy as our majority counsel. First ever woman to serve in that role, and that's who's seated next to me tonight for the first time ever. So congratulations, Rebecca. Patrick Collins is recovering from COVID, so we thank you, Rebecca, for filling in tonight. Before the veterans in chambers, Mr. Commisso, Mr. Smith, and myself lead this body in the Pledge of Allegiance. On behalf of the veteran community in Albany County, I'd like us all to remain standing in a moment of silence in recognition of the passing of Father Kenneth Doyle, an Albany fireman and union leader, Ed Veerhoff. They touched countless lives in their service. So if Mr. Commisso and Smith could lead us in the pledge. Thank you. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Beston. Brewski. Bergdorf.
Present.
Chapman. Clay.
Clay is present.
Cleary. Present. Collins. Present. Can you put me present for the... I did. I got you. Commisso. Here. Cunningham. Here. Demolowitz. Here. Drake. Here. Efacoro. Here. Ethier. Here. Feeney. Here. Fine. Here. Grimm. Here. Andrew Joyce.
Here.
Ray Joyce. Here. Kuhn. Here. Lakakis. Here. Lockhart. Here. Murriello. Here. Mayo. Here. McLaughlin. Here. McLean Lane. Here. Miller. Present. O'Brien. Here. Purley. Here. Peter. Here. Plosky. Present. Reedy. Here. Reinhardt. Here. Ricard. Present. Simpson. Smith. Here. Tunney. Here. Ward. Here. Whalen. Here. Willingham. 36 present. I know she's here. We see now.
You all set, Madam Clerk? Yes. Thank you. Thank you very much. First item under previous business, please, 339.
Public hearing on proposed local law number L for 2022, a local law of the County of Albany, creating the Albany County Nature and Historic Preserve System.
We need to amend this resolution to reflect the proper date, which is going to be November 22nd, 2022. Can I have a motion to amend? Motion. Motion by Mr. Ricard, seconded by Ms. Lakakis. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? All those in favor of amending, all those in favor of resolution 339 as amended? Aye. Opposed? Okay, resolution 339 as amended passes unanimous. For 373, please.
Authorizing agreements with Genoa Healthcare regarding pharmacy services and a lease of space at 260 South Cross Street in the city of Albany.
All those in favor?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to speak on this.
Mr. Fine.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We heard a lot from Lincoln Pharmacy tonight and others. Lincoln Pharmacy is in my district, and I'd like to speak on this. I know a lot of us have had discussions over the past few weeks with Serena from Lincoln Pharmacy as well as others. I have a lot of questions, and there's a lot of questions about this contract. I want to focus on just a few concerns I have, which some that we heard about tonight. So one, Lincoln Pharmacy, lost a significant amount of business. Many of their prescriptions for long-acting injectables were moved from Lincoln to Genoa. The county sent out a letter to all patients at the mental health clinic informing them about Genoa. This and some other things that happened, I think, raised some serious questions. about patient choice that have been brought up. There are strict rules that prohibit providers from steering business to specific pharmacies, yet the professional services agreement also states, the professional services agreement that was signed between the county and Genoa Healthcare states that Genoa provides a superior level of care. I think this shows a clear preference by the county to Genoa, which should not have been made. This is significantly hurt a small local business that provides, as we heard tonight, a real value to an underserved community, a community that's very underserved by pharmacies and by healthcare institutions. And I know that during the pandemic, Serena went out of her way to do community service, not to make a profit, but to get out in the community and actually help people get vaccinated because she cares about the community, because a local independent pharmacy is going to care about the community while a national chain, national corporation does not. So, you know, for me, there's too many questions here about this patient choice, about some of the compliance data we've seen, compliance data that's really compared Genoa Pharmacy's compliance rate to the national average compliance rate, not the Albany County Mental Health Clinic's compliance rate before and after Genoa Pharmacy came in. So I think we've really seen data that's comparing apples to oranges, which is not giving us a fair, really a fair viewpoint on everything. So, you know, I'm voting no on this, and I'm asking others to join me in voting no. Thank you.
Ms. McLaughlin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I too will be voting no on this piece of legislation. I have a personal as well as community connection with the Lincoln Pharmacy and know the good work and the connection they've had with the people throughout the South End. And not just the South End, but really the capital region, because they not only serve residents in the South End, but they provide delivery service of all types of prescriptions throughout the capital region. And these behavioral health prescriptions that are at the heart of this discussion tonight are a great source of revenue for her business, as well as for Genoa. That's why they have entered into the particular contract that they have at this time. I believe that this discussion that I've had with Lincoln Pharmacy since I became a member of this esteemed body, this has been something that I've been concerned about in terms of how do we treat our small businesses who have had such a long-term commitment to our community. I don't know what the circumstances are. Some things we've been talking about for at least 2 years now, when Serena brought this to my attention. And I believe that the questions that she and this whole discussion have brought to the front, we really have to take time to talk about it. And as we go forward, however this decision is made tonight, we have to make sure that we don't just let this discussion die with the decision that's made tonight. Because there are some things that have gone wrong in my estimation. There are some misconceptions and misperceptions of what this pharmacy is doing in the South End, Genoa as well as Lincoln Pharmacy. And I think that we need to continue this conversation. This cannot happen again. I am confident and I'm pleased to know that the conversation about a no-compete clause has just reared interest, has sparked interest in a lot of people in this body, and I hope that we will continue to have this conversation. This cannot happen again, and if there are some recommendations that were put forth by tonight in some of the comments, let's look at some of those things. Is there some way we can make sure that Lincoln Pharmacy is here 2 years from now? We've got to make sure, because we've got to make sure that we don't lose this prized commodity in the South End. This pharmacy is responsible for so many people of color getting vaccines in the South End of Albany. And not just, but people came from all over the region. Very passionate about this, because I do know that the fight that we had to get vaccines and to get boosters was one that was a long, hard battle. And had not been for Lincoln Pharmacy, there would be more people who had lost their lives in this community for lack of an opportunity to get the vaccine, and Lincoln Pharmacy was at the forefront of that. So for that reason, I'm going to support them, and I believe that we need to make sure this does not happen again to any small business who has contributed so much to this community. Thank you for hearing me out.
Ms. Cunningham.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This to me is a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer because there is a big difference, as you just heard from Carolyn, between independent pharmacies and what they deliver to their community in terms of a holistic healthcare portfolio, and a non-independent pharmacy. If you have ever interacted with your local independent pharmacy, you will know the difference because it's abundantly clear. I will guarantee you that pharmacies owned by United Healthcare are not going to show up and make the case like we heard earlier from folks who are from the Lincoln Pharmacy. And the difference is that crystal clear, you laid it out, Carolyn. Pandemic hits. Who is doing home delivery? Who is doing extra COVID vaccine hours? Who's going all out because they are a member of their community? The other reason that this is a no-brainer, this is a local business in the community. Where do the employees spend their dollars? Where do the owners of that facility spend their dollars? They are not delivering value back home to the corporate headquarters. They're spending money and investing in their community every single day. I think one of the travesties, just this final point, in the American healthcare system is that we are driving out the independent pharmacist. And in communities where they're still thriving and still being able to deliver services, you see that extra effort, and it's things like home deliveries to the elderly, to people who are homebound. It's things like extra vaccine clinics and other community service projects. It's a well-documented phenomenon, and I think we should go all out to support them, and I will be voting no also.
Mr. Drake.
One important thing that Mr. Fine brought up is these large corporations getting into medicine and pharmaceuticals, helping to create food deserts and pharmacy deserts in our neighborhoods. I think it's a tragedy. As always, I stand with our small family and local businesses over corporate interests every day, and especially today. I'll be voting no.
Mr. McLean.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Let the village of Bananas be a warning to you. We lost our pharmacy, we lost our grocery store, we lost our banks. We used to have 3 grocery stores. Our closest pharmacy right now is 3.5 miles away. It takes me, and I'm not exaggerating, I'm not trying to be dramatic, it takes me about 3 days to get my prescriptions now for my family. And that can be challenging when you're a working parent, you've got small children, you have to make dinner, and then you have to constantly find out if your prescription is ready. And I also want to point out that this is a minority-owned business in a minority community. The chances of another pharmacy coming in there are pretty much next to zero, and unfortunately, Manans knows this. So thank you very much for the consideration of my comments.
Ms. Plotski.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll also be voting no on this. We lost our independent pharmacy in Del Mar as well. Now we're dealing with a chain, and we have our own particular medication requirements that are not simple. And while the chain has been adequate, they don't know us. They don't. The service is not as fast. And we were lucky to have the independent pharmacy as long as we did. What I think I want to point out to you is Dr. Jalal this evening offered a solution perhaps over the next 2 years between their commitment to provide delivery, perhaps right to the offices for mental health, as well as to the patients' homes, that could tide people over in the meantime. So I'll put that out there for those of you who might not be voting no, just for your consideration. So, thank you.
Mr. Ethier.
like that, roll call vote.
You got it.
Chairman,
Mr. Joyce.
thank you. I wanted to keep people that have the opportunity to wrap up their comments. This one's a difficult one for a lot of people, including me as chair of health committee. We've had ongoing discussions with Ms. Jalal. I'll tell you, she's a staple of our community, of all of Albany County. What she's done through COVID, which I'm thanking for that. We've had multiple conversations with Serena for the past year. We've been doing a lot of research over the past year on this matter. Also with the whole industry, specific to Genoa, and that was explained to Mr. Fine today. We even went as far as looking at the YouTube video of the health committee from September of 2019. And back then, it was proposed to us when they came forward with the RFP. Even back then, Dr. Giordano stated, this was an innovative project to address chronic problems of lack of medication adherence with folks with chronic mental illness. This model is supposed to embed pharmacists right with our counselors and psychiatrists. And that's what we have with this model. The RFP went out. Unfortunately, only Genoa applied. Therefore, Genoa has the contract. If we do not renew tonight, there will be a two-year absence of that pharmacist right in the Department of Mental Health with our counselors and psychiatrists. I've had many conversations with Serena, even expressed that if there was anything we can do going forward, if this RFP went forward tonight, I think this whole county legislature would be on board with supporting Lincoln. Our mission is clearly to support local businesses, and I do. I'll link my own scripts to Lincoln Pharmacy, but our mission is also to care and provide services to those of Albany County. As chair of health committee, that's my priority.
Thank you, Mr. Joyce. Mr. Jamalowitz.
Thank you. I'm a small business owner in the city of Albany for over 40 years. I deal with small businesses throughout the state. That isn't the issue tonight. The issue is we had a bid, and I also done hundreds of bids, probably every county in the state of New York. They have a process. We have to follow the process. If you bid in the state of New York, Mr. Berger, or about the state of North Dakota, their bids, you bid on specific things you got to follow. And if you don't follow them, they toss you out. They don't even look at you. And this is what I'm concerned about is what are we going to do when the next person, the second lowest bidder, comes in and says, well, I don't like the way this worked out. I didn't like this, I didn't like that in the bid process. That's where I support small businesses, just like everybody in this room. Who wouldn't? But a lot of small businesses are a part of large businesses. Everyone thinks that McDonald's is a big corporation. Well, McDonald's is a franchise where a lot of local small business owners own. So, just because there's a big name on the window doesn't mean that a small business owner isn't involved in it. So I will be voting for the process for this contract because they had an opportunity to bid it. And if they didn't, then maybe the next time when it comes around, they'll fill it out and do it right and win the bid. But right now, for us, and I understand we're dealing with a bid. So we have one person who bid it. And so we're going to say no to them after they come in and follow the process, follow the rules. I just don't think that sends the right message to the businesses that want to do business in Albany County because the bid process isn't fair. I do everything I can to make sure that I win that bid, come in with the best price, come in with the best deal, and then you kick me to the curb because, the whole process didn't work. Thank you.
Mr. Peter.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Like Mr. Malowitz, I think it's key that we try to support small businesses as much as we can. We make sure RFPs get in front of them, but if they don't bid, they can't be considered. And imagine if we passed a construction bid and the best bidder won, and then someone came in and said, yeah, but the third lowest bidder is in my district and he gives money to my softball team. The other bidder's from New Jersey. We have a process. The good intentions aside, and the good things they do in the community aside, is not what we're talking about. This was bid in 2019. They were the sole bidder. We're not comparing apples to apples, because this isn't a contract where it's David and Goliath gave us 2 bids. We literally only had 1 bid to go with. That's all this is about. All of the good things they do in the community are extremely laudable and important, and we should make sure that anytime a bid comes in, we make sure they're included and that they have the right to bid. But if we're gonna say that it doesn't matter with our process, we're gonna reverse it if we like someone better, that's a very dangerous precedent that this body is setting. And we're a body of integrity, and I understand the pressures are to make sure, and we have obviously things we wanna help. We wanna help small businesses. We know the importance. I represent Lark Street. I don't believe we have a chain on Lark Street. And I'd be upset if a big chain came on, but at the same time, that's part of the process. If someone bid out, that's what it is. We have to represent the process, and if there's ways we can improve that to include more small businesses, then let's talk about that. That's the real conversation. But here, we only have 1 bidder. It's the only thing we can act on.
Mr. Bergdorf.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's a very difficult decision because Lincoln Pharmacy makes a compelling argument as a local small business, and I appreciate that, and I generally do everything I can to support a local small business. But I agree with Gary and I agree with Matt. We have to have transparency and confidence in our competitive bidding process. And in this instance, we advertised, there was only 1 bidder. The bid was evaluated, recommended by the department head, and if you don't go forward and accept that bid, I think you have to think about what happens to the patients that are now being served within the Department of Mental Health. And I think that's what's been missing in some of this debate, which is if they send them out the door without their medicine or taking their medicine, our social workers and our Department of Mental Health folks are going to have concerns that they were properly medicated and doing the right thing. So I'm going to vote to support this, to protect the competitive bidding system, and also because I'm concerned what may potentially happen to patients if there's a 2-year vacancy at the Department of Mental Health. So I'll be voting aye, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Ficoro?
Mr. Chairman, I just have a quick question. Because it says here that this is to renew an agreement for the pharmacy services and the lease, of course. Was there a bidding process before the renewal, or was this bidding process the initial bidding process?
Can you repeat that, Mr. Ficoro?
Yes, so my question is, was there a bidding process for this renewal, or was the bidding process the initial bidding process that brought the pharmacy to the location?
This renewal was specifically contemplated in the RFP.
In the RFP.
Mr. Purley.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Having had the opportunity and the privilege to manage some fairly large procurements on behalf of the state of New York, I very much appreciate that, particularly after an RFP is drafted, that process is very important. But I also know that oftentimes the victor is determined by the shape of the race. And I think what the issue here is whether the underlying policy of moving pharmaceutical services from the community in-house has been a wise course for the county, particularly when it can be shown that compliance rates can be matched by a pharmacy within the community. So again, I think some very good points have been raised on both sides, but certainly to support local business in the community and recognizing that procurement process is important, but it's also not perfect, I'll be voting no.
Mr. Kuhn.
Thank you. This is a really tough issue. I found myself
kind of going in both directions over the last few weeks on this. One of the stats that I've heard over the last few weeks that really resonated with me was the idea that having this in-house pharmacy led to better results, a higher percentage of adherence to medication recommendations than having not having that in-house pharmacy. But I've also lately, over the last few days, heard some discussion that maybe those statistics are not exactly, those statistics are played with a bit and they're not quite as compelling as I had been led to believe that they were. We do have an RFP process, but let's be clear about what is happening tonight. This is not, we're not taking an RFP that was granted 3 years ago and second guessing it. This is an RFP that was granted and it was awarded, and this company, Genoa, had their 3 years at this space. The contract says it is subject to renewal for another 2 years if approved by the county legislature. So we are now being asked if we're going to renew this. Nobody's going back and unwinding an RFP. That's not what's happening. We're being asked now to renew this, and so it's perfectly acceptable for us to be looking at all of the circumstances here.
Yeah, that's my point.
I also think that there is the idea that a flyer was sent out to patients that, to me, really is borderline in terms of telling people that they should be going to this. I know it probably didn't say that specifically, but it certainly appeared to give that strong indication that you should be going there. And we know that that's really not appropriate. So taking the totality of the circumstances, this is a local business that, if, you know, all the great things we've heard about this, I think it's within our rights to basically say, we're being asked to do a renewal as a legislature, and we're looking at all this, and we can say no, and that's not unwinding the RFP. The RFP contemplates us doing this, and that's what we're doing. So I will be voting no on this tonight.
Mr. Joyce.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's not just an RFP, there's no compete clause in here, right? That's the problem. If there was just an RFP that we could, approve or deny, I think every one of us would say, let's knock this out of the, let's give it back to our local pharmacy, and especially Ms. Jalal, who's done so much for Albany County. However, there's a no compete clause, and if we do not renew, the space has to stay vacant. Now, it's not just an in-house pharmacy, okay? These aren't people getting blood pressure strips. This is the most needy of Albany County, those most in need, those most troubled in mental health. These are the ones that are counselors and psychiatrists, I think even Ms. Jalal admit, have to really be handled gently and make sure they get their scripts. Now, with the pharmacy inside the Department of Mental Health, the model was that the pharmacist would work with the counselor and the psychiatrist and get their medication while they were there. Because this is a population that there's no guarantee that if you call it up to CVS or Walgreens or even Lincoln, that, that's the concern is who falls through the cracks once they walk out the door. So we do have a no compete clause. It will stay vacant for 2 years. If we do not approve, we lose that in-house pharmacy. I'd rather have Lincoln in there, but that's not what's offered tonight. It's either Genoa, where the place stays vacant, and those people that require these services now need to go out on the street and go to their own pharmacy, patient choice, but then we talk about compliance, which seems to be up in the air, so.
Mr. Miller?
Thank you. Mr. Krugman and Mr. Joyce pretty much hit my points, but I think that the important point is that we did go through that bid process, but that non-compete clause is essentially a poison pill, that when we get to this renewal, forces this body into a yes vote. It gives us essentially no choice, as Ms. Joyce said. That should never have happened. To Mrs. McLaughlin's point, we need to look at this going forward to make sure it never happens again. But because we essentially forced into that, I will be voting no tonight on it.
Ms. Whalen?
I have a question about the non-compete clause. I don't even think it's enforceable. I don't think we should worry about that right now. And I'm voting no for this. I actually think that Lincoln Pharmacy is a great pharmacy. My son was home from college during COVID, And I took him over there and got him vaccinated. I also went to law school right in that neighborhood, and they serve for over 100 years, a lot of people. And I don't think that this isn't, I don't think that if we vote no on this, that we are not complying with the RFP. They got the RFP, that's over. This is an extension. And we don't have to give them an extension if we don't want to. And so I'm not voting for this. And I don't think that that non-compete clause is something that we should be that worried about. I think that, like, you can violate it, see what happens. Period.
Mr. Grimm.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I was completely undecided in almost in the last few minutes. And this debate's been fantastic tonight, and I really appreciate it. And then we said we have to follow the process as one bidder. That's my problem. Whenever I see one bid, my antenna goes up. I don't like to see one bids in government. And it seems to me that's a red flag. But the bottom line here is we got a corporate giant, and a lot against a big corporation. I wish I was one of them myself. But the reality is we're kind of siding with the big corporation against the little guy. And that's not who we are. So I'm going to vote no tonight because in favor of the little guy, because I think their preservation is more important than siding with the corporate giant. Thank you.
Okay, one more, Mr. Drake.
Those have been great comments. I do disagree with the notion that we're stuck in a yes vote. We can stand up. We're not afraid of United Healthcare and their big lawyers. We've got great lawyers on our staff, right? And I think one of the attorneys here pointed out, and I think Mr. Jamal said, they probably aren't enforceable clauses. I'm not afraid as Albany County legislator to stand up for what's right. And that flyer is where this goes wrong, in my opinion. That flyer steering business toward a corporate interest, using the weight of and the prestige of the county medical establishment. I think that's wrong, and that's put us in this position, and we may have to break the mold. But to be clear, we do have a choice to go vacant, because Lincoln and other pharmacies served this role before General came and can serve it after. And I think that the statistics that were put out tonight seem to support that. I'm not an expert in this field, but this is what I'm hearing, and I invite other people to tell me otherwise. Thank you.
Mr. Ricardo.
Just a point of clarification. Mr. Joyce, quick question. If this was voted down tonight, how many people, and I remember reading it somewhere, how many people would be out without access to the pharmacy? Do you know that number? It's somewhere, I do remember reading it, but.
I've only got about this much paper, so give me 1 minute.
Listen, folks, we can litigate this all night. There's been a lot of good comments that have been made. What I would like to do, and if anybody has any issue with this, please make that known, but I think we should send, where is it? What number is this? 373 back to health. So we can have a little bit more time to consider, and some of the points that were raised tonight about the non-compete and other things, let's give it another month, and we'll continue to do our due diligence. And Mr. Cohn.
Well, Mr. Chairman, to what end?
Let's have a vote.
Let's have a vote.
I guess I don't, to what end? Would more discussion help?
Well, there's been plenty of discussion tonight, and a number of good items that have been raised, some legal arguments that have been raised, and I think it's worthy of examination. Further examination. Ms. Willingham.
Yes. After listening to a lot of different points being brought up tonight, the process as far as the bid is concerned, we need to be careful with that and what we are doing in regards to, well, they didn't put the bid in, and there was something wrong. If you take away everything else, they did not follow the process. The second thing for me is this right now. So we vote this down. Where does that leave? And this is what I'm not clear on right now.
I'm not clear on it either.
Where does that leave the people who were being served? So do we go back to where we were before, where there was no real contract? We just did away with the bid? What happened?
Correct.
And that needs to be answered. We're throwing the bid out. Are we going to do another one? Is going to be a new one? I want to know. And I also want to know if we don't do this, What happens in that gap period to those people who, from what I understood as a member of the health committee, these people were in a state where they actually had to be led around. And consistency was important for the service that they were getting. So I can't vote this down without understanding what happens to the patients. I need to know that. I just can't do it right now, so I wish you would send it back so we can get those answers.
Mr. Clay.
Mr. Chairman, I'm in agreement with you. This, I think I mean, there's too many ifs and there's too many questions out there relative to this. I think we should send it back as well, take another look at it.
Thank you, Mr. Clay. Mr. Epicoro.
Mr. Chairman, I just have a quick question again. When is this contract, the contract that they are currently on, when does it end?
November 30th at the end of the month.
This month?
Yes.
So I need to clarify what my friend Wanda just said, though. What's going to happen with those individuals on November 30th?
I don't know.
Well, I don't think that's a good, situation.
Mr. Ward.
Thank you. I'll just guess on the answer to that they would probably extend it month to month because there's a lot of profit to be made month to month. So that's just my guess. I would be I agree with your take on this to send it back to committee for one reason. That the one thing that has swayed my vote back and forth on this, and I got a lot of respect for everybody in this room tonight, it's been a very respectable debate, but the non-compete clause has bothered me since the first time I heard it. And the only reason that I would vote yes on this contract is because of the non-compete clause, and I want to make sure that we provide that service for the next 2 years. Otherwise, if that was not in there, I would be saying, let's bid this out now, because the contract ends. So I would, Ms. Whalen State, I know she's an attorney, I've heard from other attorneys that have looked into this, that have said that the non-compete clause is a real deal, that it is not reversible. If we could find a way, or at least a very good, strong opinion on that issue alone, that would sway my vote one way or the other. If it is a real deal, if we have to abide by it, I would vote for this contract because I want to make sure we provide the service. If we can, if that non-compete clause could be terminated, I would say rebid it. And I still say that Genoa would stay in that space month to month during that process because there is profit to be made. Just my guess.
Thank you, Mr. Ward. Mr. Joyce.
Yep, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, I agree. No contracts, this wouldn't even be debated. We already talked about that quite a bit. That said, if we shot this down, I still want our pharmacy in our Department of Mental Health. There's some value in that. I think we all agree to that, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So, I was just standing to answer Mr. Ricard and Mr. Willingham, who asked how many people would not have these services for the next 2 years. It's 192 that need the injectables, according to the 2020 stats.
Thank you.
Okay, folks. Got a few more hands raised. One more round. I haven't heard a compelling argument to not send this back yet. Ms. Cunningham.
Yeah, the non-compete clause is for the space. It's not for the service. So these are Medicaid eligible individuals. They're entitled to pharmaceuticals no matter who is providing it. So the model is a pharmacy housed in the space to make it easier. I've heard some good data about how adherence rates, if you look at them differently over a longer period, are actually better at a different pharmacy. So I think we have to think this through with respect to not being sort of afraid of this non-compete issue. That's not going to deny these patients what they're entitled to under the Medicaid program. They're still entitled to the pharmaceuticals. And the last thing is, if you do send it back, it needs to have a joint referral go to law also.
Okay.
That's what I was going to say too.
So we will send this back to health and law. And there's a lot of important comments made tonight. I hope that some of the individuals that made the comments do present themselves at these meetings and help us get to a good solution. This wasn't held for a number of months, but we have more visibility on this, more highlight on it. So please continue the work that was started tonight in the review and the scrutiny that the decision's been made under. And hopefully with a little bit more time, we'll get a written opinion from law on what it means, month to month, for this service. So please send 373 back to the Health Committee and also send 373 to the Law Committee. 398, please.
Public hearing on proposed local law number O for 2022, a local law of the County of Albany regarding the adoption of the Code of Albany County.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Public hearing for local law O passes unanimous. 340, please.
Public hearing on proposed local law number M for 2022, a local law of the County of Albany requiring the distribution of illegal firearm awareness notices.
Mr. Moriello.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This local law was originally introduced as an amendment to a law that primarily focused on illegal guns and legal gun owners. Our conference looked at this and we felt that, well, the problem in Albany County is not with an individual that possesses an illegal gun. It's with an individual that possesses an illegal gun. Our sheriff has come out and said this, our district attorney has said this. So we really need to focus in this county on removing illegal guns from our streets. So that's why we did this. And it went through committee, it was vetted, and this evening it's out for a public hearing. But I saw when the current agenda came out that Mr. Reedy had also submitted resolution 475, which really is almost identical to local law, and the only difference is he added one additional component, which was a training component, training for individuals on the use of firearms, which is a good idea. It's a very good idea. So obviously a resolution can get passed and go through our process. A lot quicker than a local law, and a local law has to go before a public hearing. So what I'd like to do is, well, I'm going to quote something from Harry Truman, and he said, "It's amazing what you can accomplish if you do not care who gets the credit." So what I'm doing this evening is I'd like to withdraw local law M, and what I'd like to do is support resolution 475. All of the members of our conference that are on local law M would like to be added as co-sponsors to local law 475. Again, this has been vetted in committee. I think it's an agreement by all of us that this is important. We need to tackle the issue of legal guns in Albany County. So what I'd like to do, Mr. Chairman, is because this is such an important issue for us all, and I think we're all in agreement that this is an important issue, I would like to forego the procedure we have of sending this to a committee. And I'd like to move it out of order, bring it up for a vote this evening, 475, and let's get this moving and let's try and solve this issue we have in Albany County. Thank you.
So Mr. Moriello is withdrawing local law M. And has made a motion to take 475 out of order, seconded by Mr. Bergdorf. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Resolution 475 passes. Madam Clerk, 475.
Establishing the detailed instructions supporting community violence education and reduction program regarding gun safety and violence reduction efforts and amending the 2022 Albany County budget.
Mr. Reedy.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. With the Discover program, this resolution, and local law K, we also up for a vote tonight. Albany County is continuing to take action and the lead on fighting the public health emergency of gun violence. The Discover program will have an immediate impact on taking legal guns off the streets through an anonymous tip line with a significant reward for information leading to the seizure of illegally possessed firearms. The program will also continue to promote responsible gun ownership with Albany County gun buyback and gun lot giveaway events, and with pistol permit training courses through the Sheriff's Department. I'm proud to introduce and sponsor these bills. I want to thank my colleagues in the Majority Caucus, Majority Leader's Office and Chair's Office, and Sheriff Craig Apple's office as well, for working with me on this legislation. And I want to thank the Minority Caucus for signing on as co-sponsors, and finally the residents of Albany County, many of whom I had discussions with in designing this program. Gun violence impacts us all. It's going to take all of us working together to stop the harm it causes, and by passing the Discover program, we'll be doing just that tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Reedy. Mr. Ficoro.
Can you add my name? I don't see it on there.
We will add you. Mr. Bergdorf.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm proud of us tonight. We accomplished something. We came together to attack illegal guns in Albany County. And I hope it passes with 39 sponsors and 39 yes votes. Because this is while the county may have participated in some gun buybacks, and the sheriff is doing a tremendous job of policing to get illegal guns off the streets, this may be the first thing that this legislature is really doing to tackle the problem of illegal guns. Thursday, 2 more people were shot, 1 fatality, 1 critical condition, bringing the homicides up to 18 this year, which exceeds all of last year. So things are not good. And I'm really proud collectively of our caucus and your caucus for coming together to do something well. And also, when you get to the bottom of the bill, there's an appropriation in it, which gives us the ability, because it's a resolution and not a local law, the moment that the county executive signs it, it can be initiated with funds in 2022. So it's a quick start. And every day that we don't do something like this, more people are at risk. And I also am glad that this does some very, very good things for legal gun owners. People who want to get a pistol permit, people who want to do firearm safety training. Sean has a facility in Green Island that does nothing but train people how to use a firearm successfully, as well as a recreational shooter. Having the Sheriff's Department offer the services that are now required under the state law for getting a pistol permit is a huge move forward, and I'm not aware that any other municipality has done anything like that. I know that in Fulton County, the Sheriff's Department is very active with the local gun clubs in doing that sort of thing. But this is a very, very positive thing for the legal gun owner and gun safety, and in an effort to take illegal guns off the street. And I'm proud to support it.
Mr. Smith? Ms. Willingham?
Thank you. I've heard Mr. Bergdorf say this is the first time we've ever done anything like this. That is not true. When I first came on this legislature, I offered legislation, gun legislation. And it came from all over the state, and some came from out of state, into this room right here. I received threatening emails in regards to what I had put forward. So no, this is not the first time. I also tried to institute a gun buyback. I was turned down, told that it was not a good idea. We have Higgins, Mr. Higgins, he put forward the gun buyback, and they took it from him, but they didn't take it from me. So I just wanted to make that plain, okay, that this is something that has been tried in the past. I was not successful, all right? I'm happy to see that this is being done. I do hope that it does help. Having lost someone to violence, gun violence, and also having seen someone on a Sunday afternoon killed with a gun in front of the whole neighborhood, I really do hope that this is a help. But I just want you to know that people in my community have not just sat idly by and not tried to do something. We have. Some of us think that this is a soft touch, but still it's a touch. So I'm hoping that, you know, it is successful, and of course I will be voting for it tonight. Thank you.
Mr. Jamalowitz?
Just like to thank the sponsors for putting the gun buyback process, part of this piece of this legislation. I brought that up in committee, and as you guys picked up the phone and ran with it. Let me just make one point from someone who represents the city of Albany. The Albany County Sheriff's Department, year to date, have made 5,700 stops in the city of Albany. They have taken off fentanyl, guns, cocaine, all these drugs off the streets of the city of Albany. And they made over 600 arrests. So the Albany County Sheriff's Department doesn't get the glory, the work that they're doing for us in the city of Albany. And by the way, the Albany Police Department don't dispatch to our Sheriff's Department. These are all initiatives the Sheriff's Department is doing on their own. And our great deputies are out there fighting a good fight for us on their own. So this is great, the legislation's great, but let's keep in mind that if it wasn't for the Albany County Sheriff's Department, and some nights like tonight, we may have 8 to 10, 12 guys on their shift tonight, but when the city was down last year, maybe a year and a half ago, we had as many as 20 deputies in this riding doing ride-wits in the city of Albany, which we're not doing anymore. And Albany is still down 35, 40 cops, you know, they're down 35, 40 firemen. It's something that's got to be addressed. And the Albany County Sheriff's Department and the funding that we give them to get the job done, which I thank everyone in this room for, to make sure that our deputies are fully funded. Because here in Albany County, we support the police. Thank you.
Mr. Peter?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm very happy that this has come to fruition, and I want to thank Minority Leader, Frank, you know, we talked in the caucus and committee, you took a lot of suggestions. I want to thank you for that. It was very proactive. Mr. Reedy, I want to thank you for your leadership on this. I think we see a product that comes back when we have respectful and continuous debate, because we have an epidemic of legal guns throughout the city. And what I'm happy about this is that this is a countywide program, because illegal guns is not a city problem. It might be where a lot of the violence happens, because as the sheriff said in his testimony, a lot of people come into Albany from other places to commit acts of violence. It's not that the city of Albany is just a place of violence. We get people from Schenectady, we get people from Latham, Cohoes, we get people from New Jersey. But violence affects everyone. And so what this is doing is saying that as a county, we are one, legal guns flood our community, and they directly affect some more than others. And we need to make sure that this is not a one-time solution. As Chairwoman of Audit and Finance, Wanda Willingham said, this might be a soft touch, but it's still a touch. This will do good. But this cannot be the only thing we do. And so I'll be voting yes. I want to thank the sponsors. I want to thank those who crafted this legislation. And there is more work to do, but this is a great first step. I'll be voting yes.
Mr. Joyce?
Yeah, just please add me.
Does everyone want to go on as a co-sponsor?
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
All these co-sponsors? So all those in favor of Resolution 375?
Aye. 475.
475. Which one is 375? It's not Genoa, is it? It's a close one. I'm sorry, Mr. Reedy. All those in favor of Resolution 475, please signify in the affirmative. Aye. Opposed? Congratulations, Mr. Reedy. Just so we all know, Mr. Reedy, how much would one get for an illegal firearm, handgun?
If you provide information that leads to an illegal firearm being taken on the street, $500 reward and a tip line.
$500 for information leading to the successful seizure of an illegal handgun. So more information to follow on that. Just wanted to make that point. Thank you. 399, please.
Authorizing a lease agreement for commercial space at the MVP Arena, Josephine Sapienza, DBA Pizzeria Sapienza.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? 399 passes, unanimous. 400, please.
Authorizing a lease agreement with Saratoga Eagle Sales and Service regarding suite number 19 at the MVP Arena.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Resolution 400 passes, unanimous. Ms. McLean Lane, please get better soon. Good night. 401, please.
Authorizing an undertaking agreement with the New York State Department of Transportation regarding the Albany County Rail Trail Bridge over New Scotland Road replacement project.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? 401 passes, unanimous. 402, please.
Authorizing an agreement with Appalachia regarding the purchase of road salt for snow and ice removal on county and state highways.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? 402 passes, unanimous. 403, please.
Amending the 2022 Department of Public Works budget, purchase of a steel building and a salt storage shed.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? 403 passes, unanimous. 404, please.
Authorizing an agreement with International Dioxide regarding odor control oxide for the water purification district.
All those in favor?
Oxide.
Opposed? 404 passes unanimous. And Mr. Miller, I believe that's Occident, right?
Occident, that's what I was gonna say.
405, please.
Amending the 2022 water purification district budget, equipment repair.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? 405 passes unanimous. 406, please.
Amending the 2022 water purification district budget, overtime.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? 406 passes unanimous. 407, please.
Authorizing an agreement with Polydyne to supply the water purification district with liquid polymer.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? 407 passes unanimous. 408, please.
Authorizing an agreement with Arcadius of New York regarding a capital improvement plan study for the water purification district.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? 408 passes unanimous. 409, please.
Authorizing an agreement with Mobility Development Operations regarding access to one parking spot and charging station at the county's 260 South Pearl Street parking lot.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? 409 passes unanimous. 410, please.
Designating the Albany County Convention and Visitors Bureau as Albany County's tourism promotion agency to receive tourism, advertising, and promotion grants.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? 410 passes unanimous. 411, please.
Authorizing agreements regarding moving and storage services for eligible temporary assistance recipients.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? 411 passes unanimous. 412, please.
Authorizing agreements with providers of home establishment furnishings.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? 412 passes unanimous. 413, please.
Authorizing an agreement with Equinox regarding non-residential domestic violence services.
All those in favor? Opposed? 413 passes unanimous. 414, please.
Authorizing an agreement with Equinox regarding residential domestic violence services.
All those in favor? Opposed? 414 passes unanimous. $415, please.
Authorizing the acceptance of grant funding and amending the 2022 Department of Social Services budget.
All those in favor? Opposed? 415 passes unanimous. We do have the ability tonight to group items 416 through 432. Can I have a motion to group? Motion by Mr. Peter. Well, everyone's in favor of that one. Seconded by Mr. Efracoro. All those in favor to group 416 to 432? Opposed?
Could you note my abstention on 423, please?
We got it. On resolutions 416 through 432, all those in favor? Opposed? Okay, 416 through 432 passed with one abstention. $433, please.
Authorizing agreements with foster care providers.
All those in favor? Opposed? 433 passes unanimous. 434, please.
Adopting an amendment to the 2020-2024 Albany County Airport Authority Capital Program.
All those in favor? Opposed? 434 passes unanimous. 435, please.
Authorizing the submission of a grant application and an agreement with the New York State Governor's Traffic Safety Committee regarding the Highway Safety Program.
All those in favor? Opposed? 435 passes unanimous. 436, please.
Authorizing the submission of a grant application and an agreement with the New York State Division of Criminal Justice Services regarding the Motor Vehicle Theft and Insurance Fraud Prevention Program.
All those in favor? Opposed? 436 passes unanimous. 437, please.
Authorizing the submission of a grant application and an agreement with the New York State Division of Criminal Justice Services regarding the Gun-Involved Violence and Elimination Grant.
All those in favor? Opposed? 437 passes unanimous. 438, please.
Authorizing the submission of a grant application and an agreement with the New York State Division of Criminal Justice Services regarding the Crimes Against Revenue Program.
All those in favor? Opposed? 438 passes unanimous. 439, please.
Authorizing an agreement with the New York State Division of Criminal Justice Services regarding the Aid to Prosecution Program.
All those in favor? Opposed? 439 passes unanimous. 440, please.
Authorizing an agreement with the Center for Disease Control and Prevention regarding the Closing the Gap with Social Detriments of Health Accelerator Plans Grant.
All those in favor? Opposed? 440 passes unanimous. 441, please.
Amending Resolution Number 300 for 2021 as amended regarding COVID-19 funding.
All those in favor? Opposed? 441 passes unanimous. 442, please.
Amending Resolution Number 391 for 2019 regarding the fiscal year 2019 State Homeland Security Program.
I'd like to note my abstention. All those in favor? Opposed? 442 passes, one abstention. 443, please.
Authorizing an agreement with Hospitality House, TC, regarding intensive residential treatment services.
Okay, folks, we have the ability to group items 443 through 452. Can I have a motion to group? Motion by Ms. Sakakis, seconded by Mr. Ricard. All those in favor? Opposed? A motion to group passes unanimous. All those in favor of items 443 through 452? Opposed? Items 443 through 452 pass unanimous.
Authorizing an interdepartmental agreement regarding single point of access services.
Bear with me one moment here. Okay, we also have the ability to group items 453 through 462. Can I have a motion to group? Motion by Mr. Miller, seconded by Mr. Peter. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion to group 453 through 462 passes unanimous. All those in favor of items 453 through 462? Aye. Opposed? Items 453 through 462 pass unanimous. 463, please.
Authorizing an agreement with the New York State Division of Criminal Justice Services regarding reimbursement for Raise the Age implementation.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? 463 passes unanimous. 464, please.
Authorizing an agreement with the United States Department of Justice Bureau of Justice Assistance regarding reimbursement for the incarceration of criminal aliens and amending the 2022 Sheriff's Office budget.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? 464 passes unanimous. 465, please.
Amending the 2022 Sheriff's Office budget year-end adjustments.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? 465 passes unanimous. 466, please.
Amending the 2022 Sheriff's Office budget, correctional facility expenditures.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? 466 passes unanimous. 467, please.
Amending resolution number 192 for 2019 regarding the lease and delivery of Sheriff's Office patrol vehicles.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? 467 passes unanimous. 468, please.
Amending resolution number 262 for 2022, directing the Board of Elections to certify its expenses regarding the 2021 election cycle.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? 468 passes unanimous. 469, please.
Authorizing an agreement with the New York State Board of Elections regarding the absentee ballot prepaid postage grant.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? 469 passes unanimous. 470, please.
Authorizing a payment in lieu of taxes agreement with Knox regarding real property located at 1953 Thompson's Lake Road in the town of Knox.
All those in, Mr. Joyce? Got it. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? 470 passes with one abstention. 471, please.
Authorizing the acceptance of a donation of kayaks and related equipment for the Albany County Veterans Peer Support Program.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? 471 passes unanimous. 472, please.
Resolution of the County of Albany, New York, authorizing the execution of a financing agreement by and between Albany and the Dormitory Authority of the State of New York and the execution of Peninsula Corporation Agreement and related agreements in connection with all of the foregoing.
Okay, we're going to do a long roll call on 472. It's technically not a bond, but the Dormitory Authority may treat it as such. And there is information on your desks and on your tablet on 472. Long roll call, please.
Bergdorf.
Aye.
Chapman. Clay. Cleary.
Yes.
Collins. Camiso. Cunningham. Demolowitz. Drake. Efacoro. Ethier. Feeney. Fine. Grimm. Andrew Joyce. Ray Joyce. Kuhn. Lakakis. Lockhart. Murriello. Mayo. McLaughlin. McLean Lane. Miller. O'Brien.
Yes.
Pearlie.
Yes.
Peter.
Yes.
Plosky. Reedy.
Yes.
Reinhardt. Ricard.
Aye.
Smith.
Yes.
Tunney.
Yes.
Ward.
Yes.
Whalen.
Yes.
Willingham. Unanimous.
472 passes unanimous. 473, please.
Authorizing the conveyance of real property located at 213 Mount Hope Drive in the city of Albany.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? 473 passes unanimous. 474, please.
Authorizing the conveyance of real property located at 241 County Route 357 in the town of Rensselaerville.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? 474 passes unanimous. 476, please.
Authorizing the county executive to submit an application to establish the Albany County Beverage Trail and amending the 2022 Albany County budget.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This application comes out of the COVID Economic Recovery Task Force led by Wanda Willingham, and it's on with myself and Mr. Pearlie. One of the key recommendations that came out of that was to assist with wayfinding for and the creation of a beverage trail. Specifically, without creating an application to the state, county, and state roads, we would have a lot of trouble putting up signage. By joining the ag and markets on that, we are opening ourselves up to apply for that. I can tell you right now, 14 of 22 establishments have either signed on or sending sign-on letters to Mr. Lucas Rogers, who is going to be submitting to us as long as we approve this to the state. It is to help farm-to-table breweries, distilleries, cideries, wineries throughout the county. It's a one-time cost to us, at least in this budget, $30,000 move to basically pay for the signage. There is then the intent, at least, to give monies next year, and that's up to the county exec's office, with Discover Albany to create a program to basically create a passport and to help advertise for those businesses. This is a win-win. It's a very minor cost, and as businesses develop, they'll be able to join. It is our intent to basically put about $5,000 a year with the county executive's office every year to either increase signage, allow for more signage, or repair broken signage. But this is a pretty easy bill. I think it's hopefully going to be bipartisan. It's paid for from, I believe, our legislative line item. So again, we're not, it's right there. And the sooner we can do this, the sooner the application can go in, and hopefully we get those signs installed next year and really help those businesses that have survived COVID, and we want to make sure they thrive. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Peter, Ms. Willingham, and Mr. Pearlie for your work on that COVID Economic Recovery Task Force. Not many of us would know to link breweries and cideries and distilleries with the COVID economic recovery, but agritourism and economic development are going to be key to us coming back out of this pandemic. Mr. Mollis.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd just like to commend the task force for doing that. I'm someone who's been at, I was at the beginning of the Taste of York program, that Marcus announced there. And if you do use your trip to the Finger Lakes region, all through there, they have many trails, many line trails. And the group pubs are the latest that, so they're all more than throughout their town, so we go. So this is great, and I think it's long overdue. Thank you.
Mr. Pearlie.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just very quickly, again, I have the honor of representing the new Cloverleaf Vineyard in Altamont, the Altamont Vineyards, I think the only vineyards in Albany County. Allied Brewing, Mixed Creek Brewing is basically the largest growth segment in the 31st Legislative District. So I commend Chairwoman Willingham for her leadership on this, and particularly Legislator Peter. I'm glad he has a taste for beer, because it's going to work to our benefit. Thank you.
Okay, all those in favor of Resolution 476?
Aye.
Opposed? 476 passes unanimous. Well done, Mr. Peter. 477, please.
Supporting Operation Greenlight for active military service members and in transition to civilian life. Okay, folks, on all of your desks there is a green light bulb. Part of the month of November, we are calling it Operation Greenlight in Albany County. You can affix this to your porch light somewhere outdoors of your home.
to show solidarity with our veterans and all of our active duty and active military service members who are transitioning to civilian life as we draw down from places like Iraq and Afghanistan. Small gesture, but it's something that I can promise you and I can assure you that we all do notice. So please hold your light bulbs up high. Hold them up high. You're going to win. One more.
Only problem is the red door bulbs.
There you go. Mr. Jamal, you're not going to hit the bulbs now, are you? If your bulb is not compatible with your outlet, we will.
It's free. I take anything free.
There you go. So please, you can go ahead and affix the bulb to an outdoor outlet, your porch light, your post light, and send a picture to Nicole Reff with the hashtag Operation Greenlight, or just post it to your own pages as well. Ms. Willingham.
I have to say something. My daughter is a veteran, and she serves as the first vice commander of the American Legion Post. And also, she was appointed by the governor to serve as the liaison to the Department of Transportation. I'm very proud of my daughter. She has taken what she did in service. She served in Desert Storm. I can remember when all of them went, I wound up with one of my grandchildren. There were so many people that wound up in my church and other churches and in my community with their grandkids. And because of the service that was being provided by our kids. My father served in World War II. My granddaughter, my daughter's daughter, served in the Air Force. And so a lot of times we don't give credit or even realize what people do in the service to keep us safe here, to make sure that our lives are as comfortable as possible. And so for me, this means a lot. I always think about my father and I think about my daughter and the work that she still does there in that post, week after week doing things for people. So I want to thank the chairman, for being a sponsor on this, but I also want you all to remember too that our veterans, they're real people, they were ordinary people who did extraordinary things for the people of the United States. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Willingham. And Ms. Willingham is a prime sponsor on Operation Greenlight on behalf of NISAC and a number of different entities across the state. So again, post your pictures, hashtag Operation Greenlight to show solidarity with our veterans. 478, please.
Public hearing on proposed local law number P for 2022, a local law of the County of Albany, New York, regarding a teleworking program for employees.
Please refer the public hearing on proposed local law P for 2022 to the Personnel and Law Committees. We do need to go back and have a vote on 477. On 477, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thank you, everyone. Local law I.
Local law number I for 2022, a local law of the County of Albany, New York, amending local law number 6 for 2017, a local law of the County of Albany, New York, repealing the wireless communication surcharge authorized by Article 6 of the County Law of the State of New York, set forth in Albany County Local Law number 9 for 2009, and imposing the wireless communication surcharges pursuant to the authority of tax law, section 186-G.
Long roll call on local law I for 2022. Stand by one moment. Mr. Grimm.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. Mr. Chairman. I support this. The 911 is one of the most important things the county can do, so I'm going to vote yes on this. But I don't agree that this is the appropriate source of funding for such a service. I just want to make that clear for the record. Thank you.
Mr. Bergdorf.
Mr. Chairman, I raised a lot of issues about this law in committee. Presently, New York State, I think, I'm not sure if these are 20 or 21 numbers, collects $241.6 million in 911 surcharges. That's supposed to go back to the counties. It doesn't. About 100 million of it is kept by the state of New York, and it goes into the general fund for other purposes. It's so egregious that in fall meeting of 2022, NISAC passed a resolution, I think unanimously, asking the state of New York to return all money from the 911 surcharge back to the counties, which is where the money was supposed to go. I have expressed concern about going to 95 cents a line because of the impact on folks. But I came to the same conclusion that Mark Grimm did. While this may be double taxation for people in Albany County who are paying twice, and we're picking up the responsibility for what the state of New York, the shortfall they're creating for us. I'm not sure that we have any other choice. I have absolutely total confidence in the sheriff to build out the 911 and cellular system, to support the 4G system, and to help usher in the 5G system. And you can't do it without a revenue stream. This is the authority we got from the home rule message. Says that we can charge up to 95 cents for 10 years. I would hope, and I know people have talked about this for years, that the state would reconsider the distribution of the formula of funds. And if that were to happen, it might be that we could, at some point in time, reduce this double surcharge. But today, I think we gotta err on the side of safety and making sure that we have a strong 911 and cellular service. So I'm gonna be voting aye.
Okay, long roll call on local law I for 2022.
Berger.
Aye.
Chapman. Clay. You said yes. Cleary.
Yes.
Collins.
Yes.
Tomisso.
Yes.
Cunningham.
Yes.
Demolowitz.
Yes.
Drake.
Yes.
Efacoro.
Yes.
Ethier.
Yes.
Feeney.
Yes.
Fine.
Yes.
Grimm.
Yes.
Andrew Joyce.
Yes.
Ray Joyce.
Yes.
Kuhn.
Yes.
Vakakis.
Aye for 9.
Locker. Murriello.
Aye.
Mayo.
Yes.
McLaughlin. Miller. O'Brien.
Yes.
Purley.
Yes.
Peter.
Yes.
Plosky. Reedy.
Yes.
Reinhardt. Ricard. Smith.
Yes.
Tunney.
Yes.
Ward.
Yes.
Whalen.
Yes.
Willingham. Unanimous.
Local law I for 2022 passes unanimous. Local law K.
Local law number K for 2022, a local law of the County of Albany banning deadly weapons, dangerous instruments, explosive devices, and poisonous gases from Albany County facilities.
Mr. Reedy?
I think it's a fairly straightforward measure we're passing to keep our employees safe. And I want to thank everyone for recommending this at a committee and the discussion on it. And proud to introduce this.
Mr. Efacoro?
Please add me as a co-sponsor.
You got it. Okay, long roll call on local law K for 2022.
Bergdorf.
Aye.
Chapman. Clay.
Yes.
Clary.
Yes.
Collins. Camiso. Cunningham. Demolowitz. Drake. Efacoro.
Yes.
Ethier. Feeny. Fine. Graham.
Yes.
Andrew Joyce.
Yes.
Ray Joyce. Kuhn. Kakis. Lockhart. Mariello. Mayo. McLaughlin. Miller. O'Brien. Hurley. Peter. Flosky. Reedy. Reinhardt. Ricard. Smith. Tunney. Ward. Whaling. Willingham.
You did that at Paul Devane speed, Nicole. You're getting good.
Unanimous.
Local Law K for 2022 passes unanimous. Well done, Mr. Reedy. Local Law P for 2022.
Local law number P for 2022, a local law of the County of Albany, New York, regarding a teleworking program for employees.
This is getting referred tonight, but Mr. Efacoro, if there's anything you wanted to say about Local Law P?
It's being referred to committee, right?
Okay, just giving you a chance. Please send Local Law P for 2022 to Personnel and Law.
Thank you.
Do I have a motion to adjourn? Motion by Mr. Coon, seconded by Mr. O'Brien. All those in favor? Thank you, everyone. Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.